Vando, speak to the impact on the unit and the SO community writ large.
Yeah, so I mean, I think probably nothing is more compelling than just look at the data around separation rates through and post the IGADF process. So I think one of the amazing things about the SAS has been its retention rate. It holds guys for careers, right? And the separation rate was sitting around about, I think it was about 5 point something percent. So
What does that mean? Like, that's just for those who don't understand. That's each year there'll be five will go percent
each year. That's right. So each year, so there's at any point in time, there's around about 200 fully qualified SAS soldiers that are at Campbell Barracks. Any given year, about 10 of them discharge, and that's just the natural attrition of guys moving through the pipeline, promoting, and then potentially either through injury or just through tenure, moving on to greener pastures. In the years after I think the 3 years after the IGADF report was tabled, and after Angus Campbell stood up and briefed the Australian public and the world, those separation rates jumped to 25, 30%, 35%. And over the next 4 years, we lost over 100 operators discharged. And that was out of a complete fracturing of trust. I think there was a lot of moral grandstanding and pontificating that didn't need to happen. I think all Angus needed to do was stand at that dais and say, I have the report. It is disturbing. It is not who we are as an army, and if the allegations are proven true, we as an organization will take action. But that is the next step. The allegations then have to be tested to the standard that we hold ourselves, all Australians are held to under our judicial process, under the rule of law in this country. That is democracy and rule of law in action. That's all that needed to be said. And you know what? And I think probably the last bit that needed to be said was, and I take responsibility as the man at the top. Accountability starts with me and it cascades down. It doesn't start at troop commander. It doesn't start at the guys that went out on the field. It starts at the top, and that is entirely lacking in this whole conversation. And so when you put an entire unit through a process as bruising and as unethical as the IGADF investigation was in the mechanics, in the process, when you step away from the ADF stated position on ethics, which is we don't do consequentialism, we don't do ends justify means, and you do exactly the opposite, and you choose to put your men through a process that is, in my view, deeply unethical because you want to get to the end state, then I think you've lost all credibility, and you've lost accountability because you're not standing there and owning it yourself. And I think at that point, at the point that the ADF senior leaders stepped away and said, this is not on us, at the point that so many guys went through such a horribly traumatic process and were potentially significantly re-traumatized as a result. So, as I said, I was a support officer for a guy. He was going to his third interview. He was suicidal, so we had him admitted to an acute care psychiatric facility in Perth. And we were liaising with Brereton and his staff to delay or cancel the third interview. And the response was no, he will be there and he will answer the questions. It's like at the point that the welfare of the soldier is secondary to the predetermined outcome, all trust is broken between soldier and the organization. And at that point, you saw a mass exodus from the unit. And I think that was unnecessary collateral for a process that could have been handled far better.